Presenting to leadership is a bit of a different game to presenting to middle management. The stakes are usually much higher, they're much more impatient, dare I say it, rude people, and there are very different priorities and languages to what you'd usually find in a quote-unquote normal meeting. And if you're not careful, you can find them just checking out. I work as a storytelling coach and advisor to executives and leaders, and a big part of my job is helping people prepare for these high-stakes moments. And I wanted to share 5 rules about how executives think and communicate that nobody teaches you, which I think are going to help you the next time you're presenting to senior leadership. Rule number 1 is bottom line up front. This was created by Barbara Minto at McKinsey back in the 80s, I think. And it was to solve a problem that lots of people have, which is they present the way that they analyze. They start off talking about data, then eventually they'll get to an argument and at some point reach their conclusion. That's not going to work with an executive. These people have 10 to 12 meetings a day, all with people asking them for stuff. And their time is expensive. It costs at least $500 an hour. And their job is to decide fast and move on. And if you're going to take more than a minute or two to get to your point, you've lost them. They're going to be looking at something else, looking at their phone, or just second guessing what you're saying and not focusing on the points that you're making. So what Barbara Minto talked about with the pyramid principle was flipping the order. So rather than starting with data points, start at the top. Think about the argument that you want to make, the answer, and deliver that first. Say what you think. Then you go through your supporting arguments, and for each of them, you give 2 to 3 points of evidence. It's called the pyramid principle because you can work it out. Rule number 2 is pre-wiring the meeting. Because if you think that buy-in happens during the presentation, you probably already lost. No matter how good you are, very often, the outcome of a meeting is usually decided before you even walk through the door. One CEO told me one of his principles, which is no surprises in the boardroom. And you need to be aware of that because A, it limits what you can achieve in a meeting, and B, it shows you how you can approach a meeting so you can turn this to your advantage. One thing you might be able to do is schedule some conversations with leaders before a big meeting, or at least with the people who influence them. Find out their priorities, their current feelings, and start to get a sense of where they are and what they're thinking about your pitch. This means you can influence them and walk in with a much more receptive audience. I understand that might not be possible though, so you need to steer the meeting in a way that if you're not quite sure what they think yet, you can find that out. Have discovery questions ready, reflect their language back to them, and only then start delivering your pitch. Otherwise, you're going to find it falling on deaf ears. Rule number 3 is strategic empathy, because you're going to find occasionally that executives and senior leadership can come across as very aggressive and rude. Now, Roger Jones surveyed 116 executives and asked them to anonymously write down one secret they've never shared about how they feel, and found out that the number 1 fear was being found out to be incompetent. Researchers call it FOBO, the fear of being found out. And this is what leads to dysfunctional behaviors, including lots of political game playing and too little honest conversations at the executive level. And when you're presenting to them, you're not going to be presenting to logic, you're going to be presenting to an emotional human being with needs and fears. Now, don't think I'm trying to make you feel sorry for executives. They're paid very well for what they do, but they are human and humans are emotional. So you need to approach them with that in mind. So when you sense resistance, label the fear. It sounds like you're concerned this could backfire on the team. Or use a no-oriented question. Would you be against exploring this? This gives them control without feeling trapped. Rule number 4 is the 3-second pause. Now we avoid silence because it feels kind of awkward. It seems to take an eternity, and we worry that people are going to interrupt. But that is the wrong thing to do. Having a 3-second pause before delivering your point or after being asked a difficult question is kind of a superpower because A, your brain needs processing time. You need that system 2, that slower, rational, considered part of your mind to come in. That's what's going to allow you to give a more composed and structured response. It also signals thoughtfulness and composure to your audience. It indicates that you're really considering what they're saying. If you want to take a step further, there's even one company which tried to match silent time to speaking time in boardroom meetings. So in an hour meeting, you couldn't speak for more than half an hour. Sounds terribly awkward and like it wouldn't work, but responses became more focused, less impulsive, and there were fewer conflicts as well. Rule number 5 is build a joystick deck. It's a big difference between middle management presentation to an executive presentation, is that an executive presentation is way less structured. You need to be ready to navigate anywhere, which means you cannot script because that removes your flexibility. And you need to be able to work your deck like a joystick, going forward, backward, drilling down, skipping ahead, and have an ample appendix with lots of information for them to dig into depending on where the conversation goes. And in the moments where you are speaking, again, don't script it. Just have a loose kind of journey of where you want to get to. Think about where they are, what their problems are, what they're worried about, and a few points that you got to hit and where you want to get them to. That is enough structure to make sure that you have a valuable presentation for them. If you've got a presentation to leadership coming up, which of these 5 rules are you not doing right now? Let me know in the comments. And if you want the next video in this series, which is going to be about how you can build your presentation from the ground up to present to an executive, hit subscribe right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.